Well, hello again guys and welcome to downtown Seoul. I'm going to do this video a little bit differently here because I'm off to see Eddie Howe, so we'll start it with my search for the Newcastle manager. The reason being is I'm not entirely sure where he is. I'm told he's going to be in a room at the mall, the IFC mall just up the road here, which feels a little like Eddie will meet you at the haystack and all you're looking for is a needle. Yeah, the girl at the hotel reception desk, very helpful. People here have been lovely so far, really taken by the city. I asked her for help. She said just get to the mall and ask, but sadly St Cuthbert's and Benwell didn't do GCSE Korean, so I'm not too sure how that is going to go. But join me looking for the Newcastle manager, and after that I'll tell you what he said. So I found the mall. Here we go. So this is the information desk. Yeah. Where are you, Eddie? Right, so that was the wrong building. Try again. Okay, so I'm told this is the right building. Let's go. Again. This looks more promising. Here we go. There's Seoul. Where's Eddie? Ah, there we go.
모든 미디어 관계자 여러분들께 진심으로 감사의 말씀을 전합니다. 뉴캐슬 유나이티드는 상단 133년 만에 처음으로 대한민국을 방문하게 됐고 티켓 오픈 전부터 정말 많은 국내 팬들의
So there it is, guys. That's the building just behind us there where I've just been speaking to Eddie Howe, and I've walked out into what is Seoul rush hour. Now that combined with the collective hiss of the grasshoppers, which comes and goes, yeah, it doesn't massively lend itself to sound quality, so I'm going to try and take a walk. I was going to say infield there, not everything's a game of football, Craig. Yeah, I'm going to take a walk infield really, to try and find a patch which is a little bit quieter for my reflections. Now, my reflections now, I'm going to tell you what Eddie said, my interpretation of it, a couple of little newsy updates as well, one that's slightly concerning on Sven Botman, and also as well I want to talk about the wider picture at play here, and this is a piece I'm going to write for Mail Plus today, so eventually there will be a link in the description below the line, and that is about the club and what is the club right now. And it was a question I also asked of Eddie Howe upstairs there in our shiny building. But for now, what did he say? Well, of course, questions had to be asked on Alexander Isak, and it was myself who ended up asking them. And confirmation first of all that as of now, certainly as of this morning, there'd be no formal offer from Liverpool. Now, we do expect that, absolutely expect that. Luis Diaz, progress is still being made on his move to Bayern Munich. Once that happens, we expect Liverpool to formalise that approach. Now, what stance do Newcastle then take? And this was what was telling from Eddie today. He said that to a degree, I thought the use of the words to a degree was quite informative. To a degree, he said it's still in our control as a club. Now, what does that mean? I think what he's talking to is the fact that yes, he's got a 3-year contract. They are in a strong position financially. If Newcastle don't want to sell, they don't have to sell. If Liverpool come in with an offer that is way below what they deem to be market value for Alexander, they don't have to sell. They don't have to sell on any level really. But I think the use of the word to a degree was perhaps talking to the fact that they've got a player who wants to go. They've got a player who, to all intents and purposes, has refused a strong word. Well, he certainly ruled himself out of this tour here in the Far East, even though that scan on the thigh did come back clear. So it's a difficult, complex situation. Now, that is the club's control over the issue. I thought it was again quite informative when Eddie said, well, it's not really in my control, not my full control. He wants him to stay. Of course he wants him to stay. That would be, I think, the preference of everybody connected to Newcastle. Eddie said that all possibilities are still in play, and hopefully the one that does play out is the one whereby he comes back next season and perhaps even takes the number 9 shirt at Newcastle with that new contract. But right now, and I've been consistent on this for a few days now, I would say that is more unlikely than it is. But again, there's still so much to play out on this. And one thing I would say is that the fact that Newcastle are working now around the clock on deals for Johan Wissa at Brentford, the contacts that's been made with Benjamin Sesko at RB Leipzig. If Newcastle believe those deals are so far down the track and that they've got players lined up to come in, I think then that might just sway the thinking with regards to Isak, and they might then go and try to extract that maximum value, that premium price that he should command. Without that, I don't think they should do a deal. What they shouldn't do is sell Alexander Isak and then be left scratching around and having to do a loan deal for Nicholas Jackson at Chelsea and revisiting Dominic Calvert-Lewin. No, it's got to be on Newcastle's terms. I feel strongly about that, and of course Eddie Howe does as well. So the answer to the question we're all asking, does Alexander Isak go to Liverpool? It's still to be determined by several factors that haven't yet played out. Johan Wissa had an update on that this morning. I was trying to have a nap and I took a call on that. Yeah, quick insert here, guys. I don't know what day it is. So when I left the stadium on Sunday night after the Arsenal game, it was after midnight. So it was Monday, 28th of July. Of course, I then had Monday, 28th of July. Then on Tuesday morning, this morning, I arrived here at 6 o'clock in the morning and I was texting people back home about transfers and all the rest. And it was still Monday, it was 10:30 in the UK on Monday. It was like, it's been Monday for 3 days, guys. Yeah, it's Groundhog Day. Finally, by the time I put this video out, I think you guys would have moved on from Monday. It was a pretty unremarkable Monday as it was. But no, the point I was, I'll date you here. The point I was making was that, yeah, it's no good Newcastle agreeing to sell Alexander Isak just because he wants away, and they can, even if they do, then get a good price if they can't bring anybody else in. But if that player is Sesko, someone who has got that profile to go on and be the next Alexander Isak, if you like, totally different players, but you get the sentiment of what I mean. A player who has got that improvement in him and could come to the Premier League and kick on under Eddie Howe's coaching. Whereas Dominic Calvert-Lewin probably isn't that player. Johan Wissa, I think, would be a very good signing, but he isn't that player. You would hope that if he does come in, that would be to complement either an Isak or that new number 9. Likewise as well with Nicholas Jackson, another one who's been mentioned. I don't know whether Nicholas Jackson's a good player or not. I watch him some weeks and think he is, other weeks I don't. He's still relatively young. I'm not too sure there's that level of improvement there now. Yeah, before I got distracted, I was talking about Johan Wissa, and my latest information on that is that Wissa has communicated he absolutely wants this deal to happen, and that's important. Eddie Howe's on the record as saying that transfers only happen when a player really wants it to, and Eddie likes that. He liked that in Anthony Elanga. Wissa wants it to happen. He's not going to play for Brentford again. He's communicated that to them. He's told them to find a solution. This is the move he wants. Not Villa, not Forest, not Tottenham, Newcastle. And again, I think that would be a good signing. But I'm told part of the delays, there was a personal issue with one of the hierarchy down at Brentford last week that caused a 48-hour delay in talks. But also as well, Brentford, and this is kind of like, it's almost like buying a house and that chain you find yourself up in. Brentford now are wanting to identify their replacement and determine what can be done in that regards before they sanction an exit for Wissa. So many balls in the air, so many dominoes to fall or stay standing. Stay logged on across all my platforms for all of the updates. Now, what else did Eddie say there today? Again, on incomings, it talks to what I've just been speaking about there. He said it's got to be the right person, it's got to be the right player, it's got to be the right deal. They're not going to do something just for the sake of it, and they've never done that so far. Why would they change their strategy when it comes to recruitment? This summer's been hard for Newcastle. It's been difficult. Some factors, I think, which are in their control. No CEO, no sporting director. That comes from the very top. For whatever reason, they've left themselves in a weaker position when it comes to that transfer operation. But also because of external factors as well. But on the whole, this shouldn't allow us to forget what has been under 3.5, approaching 4 years of Eddie Howe now. Exceptional recruitment. And that was the point Eddie was making. When they've signed a player, they've invariably got it right. So they're not going to deviate from that now. They're not going to throw good money after bad. Now, could that mean going into the season with Willis Sula and Sean Neve up front? No, it won't. I think what he's trying to say there is if they can't get the right players in, Alexander Isak has been told he's going nowhere. And that's right. That's the policy they've got to adopt. Now, a quick little insert at the other end of the pitch. Aaron Ramsdale, yes, there's interest Eddie Howe said this morning he's worked with them before, he won't comment on other teams' players, but my understanding is that while no offer has gone in as of last night, what is last night? Is that Sunday, Monday or Tuesday? I don't know anymore. But as of last night, no offer had gone in. There's negotiations, talks taking place there. Again, the phrase used to me is, it's got to be right for Newcastle. I think that would be a loan with an option to a permanent down the line. Now, Aaron Ramsdale, the reaction when I tweeted this last night wasn't massively positive. And I get that when you've seen a project player like James Trafford be floated, and I was fully behind the Trafford deal, not that the need might say so, but you know what I mean. I thought that made a lot of sense, that bringing a goalkeeper I would be happy to compete with Nick Pope for a season. A good age, good profile, wonderful with his feet, could perhaps change the way Newcastle played. Yeah, that hasn't happened. Is Aaron Ramsdale that goalkeeper, that profile? Thank you. Across the road there he is. Appreciate that. No, he's not. So I don't really understand it in terms of the thinking behind it. As much as I think Aaron Ramsdale is okay, he's fine. He had a great season a couple of years back with Arsenal, lost his way for me a little bit since then. Yeah, I'm not wholly convinced on this one just yet. So that is a goalkeeper. Now, all of a sudden, a pressing need isn't just in the goalkeeping department or centre forward, it's at centre back. And the reason I say that is Sven Botman, it probably looks as if he isn't going to play out here in Seoul. Now, they play the All-Stars tomorrow, then they play Tottenham on Sunday. Botman limped out on Sunday night against Arsenal, and afterwards I had a positive update. I said that Dan Burn had said that he thought his teammate was okay. It was a precautionary measure. Botman then walked past me in the mix zone and was all smiles and chatting away. Now, Eddie Howe was asked about this morning. He said, we thought it wasn't a serious injury at the time. A subsequent scan has confirmed that, but Sven Botman won't play tomorrow. He might not play on Sunday, and they hope he is okay for the Cellar Cup double-header in what nearly, just under 2 weeks' time. So when it comes to Botman now, it isn't his knee, and that's the good news, but it is an injury. And he's had all summer to put in that strength and conditioning work, and you looked at Sven Botman in the last 2 years. He's 25 now, he still hasn't played for Holland. I made that remark to one of my colleagues there before. That's incredible, because I think the world of him. I think he really is an elite centre-half, and when he does come in, we all see that. What a buy, what a find for £32 million. But, and I wouldn't commit to this comparison just yet, but Jonathan Woodgate was a wonderful centre-half as well, but missed too many matches. Botman isn't at that level of absence yet, but again, if all the players have to pick up a problem, it's frustrating and it's concerning that it is Botman. And the language around what Eddie said this morning, while it's clearly not serious, and I think he will be, in contention for the start of the season, it's still a little setback. And what does that say with regards to centre-half situation? Well, it probably means Dan Burn and Fabian Schär are going to start the season, or certainly the next couple of games at least, as the first choice pair in there. And that's okay. That's a Carabao Cup winning choice pairing, but they both are the other side of 30 now, and it's a position where Newcastle do need to future-proof. There does need to be succession planning there, and all of a sudden, given what's happened to Botman, is the focus and is the priority now not back? It's centre-half. Well, no, it can't be. It's got to be striker. But you get the point I'm making now. These little issues and these little problems are cropping up. So how is the narrative, how is the feel around the squad, around the place as we arrive here in Seoul? Well, yeah, Eddie was a little bit better today. I thought he did feel a little bit down after the game on Sunday. Again, I asked him about transfers. I almost had to apologise. I said, listen, Eddie, we'll talk about football tomorrow when you play a game, but for now we need these updates. And that leads into the question, the grasshoppers, that leads into the question, I can't hear myself think, the question I asked about the hierarchical structure. And again, I'm going to write about this in great depth. And I said to Eddie, you're taking on more than you ordinarily would like. Well, it's probably best practice right now with no CEO, no sporting director. He sought to assure me, and by extension you guys, that the workings were okay. It was as much factors of the transfer market, as I touched on earlier, that were the reason for the frustrations in terms of incomings. But nonetheless, they've got to get these appointments right. This is if you class Amanda Staveley as the de facto chief executive when she first came to the club, this will be a third chief executive in less than 4 years. It'll be a third sporting director in less than 4 years. So PIF have got a lot to answer to right now. I would certainly like to see more communication from them. Where are they? You know, I knocked on that door in Riyadh 2.5 years ago and I looked at my reflection in a shiny facade for 10 minutes. I still haven't spoken to them on the record. They haven't spoken to the independent press. There needs to be more, for me, from them, especially when you've got this void and this vacuum at C-suite hierarchical level right now, and it's Eddie being left to front up on it, well, I was going to say an almost daily basis. It is a daily basis out here right now. So, yeah, I think the club needs to say more, needs to communicate more, needs to do more as well. Again, I wrote that piece in the autumn, do the Saudis still care? And I spoke to a lot of people around that, and I was very fair to them. I returned a resounding yes, they do, absolutely, but actions will speak louder than words. Since then, it's been fairly inactive. It needs to be more done, you know. The football club, the manager, the staff, the players, they deserve more than that. There's good people on the inside, they are trying, but the optics of it and the actual operation of it right now isn't where it needs to be. It's not where it should be. We've just emerged into the light here. That's what Newcastle United need to do. Feels as if there's a little bit of a dark cloud at the moment. Come out into the light, communicate more, make some good appointments. It's not far away. They've got, repeat myself, they're a brilliant manager, brilliant squad. They're not far away for me. If they had kept these, like, if this whole thing hadn't have erupted the way it has, there are only 2 or 3 players for me away from having a season where they probably could compete for the Premier League title. It all feels a little bit turbulent, a little bit unsettled at the moment. It feels like they're at a crossroads, and look where I am. I probably shouldn't spin like that. I'm not au fait with the workings of the South Korean road system. Make good content if I was taken out by a car. I dare say there'd be 1 or 2 inside Newcastle who might punch the air. But no, on the whole, I get on great with all of them. Good relationship out here, had some good access so far. Like I say, there's good people inside there who want things to be better. And that's the piece I'm going to write today for the Daily Mail and Mail Plus. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to me about the wider issues. Talk to me about Sven Botman. Talk to me about Alexander Isak. You know, it might feel a little tiresome asking those questions. I know 1 or 2 of the comments on X certainly suggested that, but come on, guys. It's what you want to read about. It's what you want to know, and I'm a journalist. I've got to ask that. You know, it's the biggest news story in town right now. So loads more content to come. I'll put those links in the description below the line as and when I get them. Thank you so much for the interaction the last few days. There is Seoul, rush hour behind us. I'll be back at the stadium tomorrow night reflecting on the game against the K-League All-Stars. Okay, see you soon, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.